Welcome, my friends, to AC's Kitchen. Grab your apron and your oven mitten. We'll make dishes that are simple but good. You'll be cooking like you never thought you could.
Hello, and welcome to the first episode of AC's Kitchen. If you're looking for amateurly produced videos with cheesy cuts and all kinds of things like that, you've come to the right place. Hopefully, I will be producing more of these. That depends on your feedback. For our first episode, we'll be making chili con carne. This is a traditional Tex-mex style chili with red beans and chopped meat. The items needed for this recipe are 3 pounds of 85% lean ground beef, 2 red bell peppers, you can use green if you like, 1 to 2 medium onions, 1 large 18-ounce can of tomato paste, 1 large 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes, 1 24-ounce can of red kidney beans, ancho chili powder, Mexican oregano, cayenne pepper, cumino seed or ground cumin, bay leaves, salt, nutmeg, corn flour, a small amount of vegetable oil not pictured, mortar and pestle or spice grinder if using cumino seed, large frying pan for chopped meat, and a large stock pot for the chili itself. This recipe makes a really big pot of chili, suitable for a pretty good sized party. Okay, we're gonna get started by browning our chopped meat. Now we want this pan to be fairly hot because we don't necessarily want to cook all the meat at this point, we just want to brown it. So we're just going to put a little bit of oil in here. And this is my assistant. Please wave to the camera. She will be assisting. That's why we call her the assistant. Please step to the side. Spread the oil out a little bit, and then we throw the meat in, and it's going to make a loud sizzling noise. Now we'll throw the rest in. Now you don't need much oil because the chopped meat obviously has plenty of oil in it. So you just want to put a little bit just to get some on the pan before we get going. I don't like to actually cook the onions with the chopped meat. I prefer to just brown the chopped meat and let the onions cook in the chili. They have a softer texture that way. While the chopped meat's browning, you could chop the onions and peppers into medium-sized chunks. Let's keep these separate since we'll be adding them at different times. Okay, so this is about right for the meat. As I say, we don't necessarily want to cook it completely through. Now that our chopped meat is brown, we're ready to start the actual chili itself. If my assistant would please bring me the large pot.
Here you go, here's the large pot.
Something seems to have happened to your mustache.
I took it off.
I see. We'll just get this on a medium heat right now, just in order to get the pot going. I'm going to pour the chopped meat into a strainer here, just to get a large portion of the oil out. You don't want to get all of it out. It imparts a nice taste to chili. So what I will do is I'm going to put drained meat into my pot here. And some of this meat, which still has just a little bit of the oil still in it. Put our hot pan over here, and as you can see, we dripped some oil on our hot burner, which is not what we want to do. Okay, here's our tomato paste. I'm now going to scoop the tomato paste into the chili. To the meat, I should say. Not chili yet. This is kind of a little bit of a pain to get out. And one of the things that I like to do to help is fill this can with water. And you can sort of, assistant,
Yes.
please.
Where do I put this?
Now in general, we want to put, I'm guessing, 3 cans of water in our chili anyway. So it just sort of works out conveniently that we use our tomato paste can to get all the tomato paste out of it. Okay, now we will add our chopped tomatoes. And I'm going to add the 1.5 chopped onions. I had originally said 2, but 1.5 seemed right. Slightly less than 1.5 since a pretty good portion of the onion actually fell on the floor. So I'm just going to kind of stir up what we have here. It's looking more or less the right consistency. I'm gonna add just another 3/4 of a can of water here to this. And we'll just sort of let this get going as we get our spices. The chili's been going for a few minutes. Looks like our water is finally boiling here. If my assistant can now bring me the spices, and this is a mixture of the ground cumin, cumino seed, the ancho chili pepper, some salt, and the Mexican oregano. Assistant, please add this to the chili. Assist. Thank you. Please start. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this cook for about a half hour to let some of the flavors work through. And then we'll go and we'll taste it and we'll just see. I suspect we're going to be needing some more cumin and ancho chili pepper. So in about a half hour we'll just kind of see how things are and we'll add those to taste.
Remember, always wear a red shirt when you're making chili, so if the chili gets on your shirt, no one will notice.
Almost forgot our bay leaves. We're going to put about 4 of these in here. Give it a little stir. And we'll check back in just a little while. At this point, the chili's been cooking for about a half hour. Like just a little taste test, and I think it's pretty good. Maybe a little bit more salt. We're just going to let some of the flavors cook in because we could add the salt a little bit later. What I'm going to add at this point is a little bit of ground nutmeg. And I managed to burn my fingers off camera by touching this. So this time I'm going to use a fancy schmancy pot holder. So ground nutmeg is, of course, always the best way to go. Now, some people think of nutmeg as sort of a sweet spice. It's not actually sweet. So you'd be surprised how nutmeg actually works quite well in a lot of dishes you wouldn't expect it. Okay, the chili's been cooking for about an hour and a half, and we're now going to add our peppers, our red peppers. As I mentioned earlier, if you prefer, you can use green peppers. Okay, we're also going to add a 1/4 cup of masa. Masa is a corn flour used to make tamales. It gives it a little bit of a flavor. I guess you could probably use regular flour, but the masa gives it a nice flavor. So we'll throw this in. You don't have to worry about the masa clumping up too much like flour does. It tends not to do that. So we're going to let this go for about another half hour. And I'm just going to throw a little bit of this cayenne pepper in here to taste. Not too much. Of course, you could put in all you want. Really depends on how many people you have that can handle spiciness. Okay, our chili's been cooking for about an hour and a half, 2 hours now, and I added a little bit of salt and just a little bit of cayenne pepper to it. But my assistant here isn't crazy about spicy things, so we're going to take it easy on the cayenne pepper. It's always an option to put some of this on the table and let your guests add it. Okay, if my assistant can please pass me the beans. But what I do need to do here is drain these, because we don't really want all this gooey stuff in our chili, the gooey bean stuff. So I'm going to drain them over here in a off-camera sink stuff. Now I'm not going to wash these. I'm just going to drain them to get the majority of the bean goo off. Alright, so now we pour in our bean goo. Now you don't really want to cook your beans too long. Really just like 10 minutes or so to let them heat up. So I'm going to give it another 10 minutes or so. And then I'm going to turn this off and we'll be done. Okay, so our chili is done. The beans have been in here for about 10 minutes, and the heat's now low enough that I can touch this metal with my hand. Okay, one final task remains, and that would be the taste test. Please face the camera.
Yum.
Okay, so we'll see you next time on AC's Kitchen.
Sorry, we forgot something.
Yeah, we forgot something. Not necessary strictly, but something I like to do. These bay leaves are kind of nasty when the guests find them. So what I like to try and do is maybe fish these out. They've basically done their job at this point. So we'll just go ahead and fish out these bay leaves to make our chili a little bit more presentable. As you can see, I didn't cook these peppers too long, so they sort of retain their shape and they have a little bit of a crunch to them. Okay, so we'll see you next time on AC's Kitchen, and the current request we have is to make some cupcakes. So we'll try and come up with something good for that, and we'll see you next time.